NBA Draft 2019, Eli. This is one of our favorite times of year. We're back to do picks 15 through 30. This 15 through 30 is a little bit more interesting, I think, than some other years because of the way the talent is evenly distributed. So if you're a Pistons fan, you're a Magic fan, you're Nets, Pacers, Spurs, Thunder, there's hope still that you're going to get a pretty darn good player still here in the 15 through 30 range. And I'll do even a hotter take than that. There's probably going to be 2 All-Stars that come out of this 15 through 30. And there may only be 2 All-Stars in the first 15. So that's a crazy thing. That doesn't happen very often. I could be wrong about that, but I think that this draft is pretty flat. You started us off with pick 1. You're going to go ahead and take pick 15, and I'll put a link to the picks 1 through 14 in the description for this video. And quick housekeeping item, we've never seen Goga Bitadze. I don't know anything about him. We're not going to play. We're not going to front. We're just not going to pick him. He probably belongs somewhere in the 20s. That's about all I can say. Just not enough. Haven't seen enough clips of him. So for the Pistons, you're up.
Yeah, so I've chosen, I think they need a guard to help lead them, along with, throwing up lobs for the likes of Blake Griffin and
Andre Drummond.
Andre Drummond, yes. So I'm taking Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
Excellent pick. Can I borrow your pen?
Yeah. And he's obviously, are they cousins?
I think he's a cousin to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, whose game I love. I was all over him last year. I wanted him to eventually be in green, but that's how it goes. And I think if you did a poll right now, he would probably be like 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting, right, for last year. Okay, but this is about Nickeil.
Yeah, so he has that same type of flow to him. I think he has the passing, and he's ambidextrous, I believe, so he can use both hands, which is really, really, really important, way more important than people think. So he can pass with both hands, and he's not terrible at rebounding, and I think he can, he wants to just get buckets, He's going to be that guy for the Pistons. I think he could be that third wheel along with Drummond and...
Yep, I think he's a smart player. I think you can plug him right in. I think he can pretty much play right away. He defends. I like it. Pistons, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. What is he? Virginia Tech, I think. Yeah. Okay. The Orlando Magic. Ooh, I get to pick for the Magic. And the Magic have some holes. They in a league where the parity is becoming pretty strong. There aren't very many really great teams, or there aren't very many really bad teams, is what I mean to say. It's pretty flat. When the Magic come to town, I don't get scared. Even though I think they did beat us once last year and definitely once the year before. Yeah. But what do we got? We're looking at Aaron Gordon, Vucevic. They still have Evan Fournier, DJ Augustine. They're full of these kind of fringy players. DJ Augustine, he'd probably drop 40 in a pickup YMCA game. Yeah. But you don't think of him as a real standout NBA player, but he's just good. He can get buckets, and I think he stole a playoff game, didn't he?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's right. He stole a playoff game. Okay, so all of that said, we're probably looking for who's the other the tall guy that they drafted? That's Jonathan Isaac. It seems like he's maybe had some injury issues. I'm gonna go and give them another... Did we pick P? Yep, we already got PJ. I'm going to pick Tyler Hero out of Kentucky.
At 16.
It's a little early.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a reach.
I don't know if it's a little early.
You don't think it's early?
That kid can just shoot the ball so well. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I'm not surprised if he goes 16th, but I'm also not surprised if he goes 25th.
Yeah, I think that's kind of his range. I would say I would not expect him to go before the Celtics pick at 14, But Hero is the type of guy who he's got sort of a basketball pedigree. You know, you can just tell he grew up with a basketball in his hands.
Yeah.
Everything seems to flow pretty naturally for him. He sees the court extremely well. He knows how to. He senses pressure and he can get out of trouble. And he's got a crafty little sort of step back where he can create some space and get his own shot. That said, a little bit athletically challenged.
Yeah.
Not gonna blow you away with his foot speed, or his vertical. He's not throwing down on anybody. I think he's just a solid, strong basketball player. You can put him out on the court and just not have to worry about it. His 3-point range is easily going to translate to the NBA. So, Tyler Hero to the Magic at 16, and the next pick is going to be on you for the Nets.
Oh yeah,
17.
I'm stuck between two players right now. I'm thinking I'm gonna go with Keldon Johnson.
Okay, so like we kind of suspected, some of these Kentucky guys might come off the board pretty close to each other.
So, Keldon Johnson is one of the most. I mean, he's just the best defender, I think, nearly in this draft. It's debatable, but I think he is. And the Nets, obviously, with this whole Kyrie Irving drama, they have 2 point guards, and I think they just need that shooting guard. That's just pure shooting guard that can guard multiple positions. And his 3-point range isn't terrible either. He has good shooting, and that sums him up in general, I think. Just great defense and good perimeter shooter.
Yep, I agree. He's a bulldog defender. I don't think he's going to be shooting the NBA 3 at a sort of a high efficiency stepping right in, but I think that that's something that he can work on. That is one of those things that you can work on. One thing you can't work on that's really hard to fix, drive, passion, motor. This kid's got it in spades. Like, it just oozes out of him. He comes out there and he's getting in your jersey on defense and he's harassing you. When he gets screened, he goes through the screen. He knocks the guy backwards. He's just kind of like a bowling ball out there. And the thing is, he's only 18 years old, right?
Yeah.
And so when this kid fills out, I mean, watch out. I see him as Andre Iguodala. It would be my best comp at the moment for Keldon Johnson, and I think he's going to be a good pro. Okay, I've got at 18 the Indiana Pacers. So that Pacers roster, it's kind of too bad what happened with Oladipo. Yeah. But they proved one thing, that they are still behind their coach and they're still willing to play hard, and they fought and even sort of maintained that near 500 record, right? So they've got Oladipo, they've got Miles Turner. I think Miles Turner is holding down that position pretty well. They've still got Bogdanovich.
Yeah.
And then trying to go through the roster in my head.
Collison.
Okay, yeah. I don't really count him as part of a huge part of the future.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that this is a team that could afford to get a little bit more wing, athletic on the wing. Okay. And so I'm going to go with sort of an upside pick here. Nasir Little from North Carolina. Nasir Little, probably one of the more athletic guys in the whole draft. For a guy who's probably right around 6'6", he's a high flyer. Like, he can be a lob target. He backdoor cuts and he throws down on the baseline, and his athleticism is something to behold. He has a scoring knack, although he didn't really get much of a chance to show it at NC. There was a lot of talent ahead of him. I think that Little is the type of guy you could groom him. Maybe you hit a home run. Maybe he's the type of guy who finds his touch, who I don't think he's ever going to be like a knockdown shooter, but I think what he can be is a slasher who knows how to find the hole and locks people up, like... dare I invoke the name like Scottie Pippen? Scottie Pippen was not a great shooter early on in his career, but he was strong, he was athletic, and he was a lockdown defender. Nasir Little, another guy who's has the potential to be a lockdown defender at the next level. So Nasir Little to the Pacers.
Okay. At 19, Spurs, I have them picking Romeo Langford. I think he's dropped down quite a bit from his projection, and he was sought out to be possibly like a top 10 pick early on. And then things just went wild with Zion, loads of other players. But I think he's still going to be a really good player. Correct me if I'm wrong, he's a really great shooter. I believe.
He's a pretty good shooter. Yeah, he's a pretty good shooter. He's been streaky. He's maybe more of a slasher is the way I would describe him.
Yeah. So just another Nasir Little, less athletic.
Better with the ball than Nasir Little, so much better touch. More of a natural scorer, where Nasir Little's more of a destroyer, like bulldog defender type. But definitely, this kid's got some skills to put the ball in the bucket.
Okay, so just adding on to that, I think that this Spurs team is not ready to contend yet, and I think that small forward position, it's kind of dry at the moment, honestly. I mean, you have DeRozan, you have DeMarcus Aldridge, and then you have Jakob Poeltl. But other than that, your future is kind of looking, I mean, you have Derek White, I believe, he's pretty good. But I think you need that small forward position to be filled out before you plan on contending.
Sure. Okay. I'll believe that. At number 20, we've got my very own Boston Celtics. And this is the second of 3 picks for the Celtics. Now, I don't think that the Celtics are going to make all 3 of these picks. It seems to me like 20 is a pick that could definitely be packaged. For what? It's hard to say. Do they want to package all 3 of them to try to move up? Do they want to drop 20 with 22? This is the type of thing that we've seen in recent years past, where you might package 20 and 22 because you've got some intel. You know that the guy that you want is going at 17.
Yeah.
And if you can put 20 and 22 together to get 16, for example, that's the type of thing Danny Ainge might do. There are still a lot of players on the board that I like. None of them are really projected to go this high.
Yeah.
So I feel like I can trade down here. Most of the players that I like, at least from what I've seen, are slated to go maybe in the 25 to 35 range. But that said, that's not the kind of game that we're playing here. So I'm just going to take the best shooter in the draft, I think, Cameron Johnson out of North Carolina. This guy, he's the type of guy who's not going to wow you with his athleticism, but he's smart. And he's got the smoothest shooting stroke. I think he shot something like 46% from 3 for the whole year. He can definitely stroke it, and he can definitely do it out to the NBA three-point line. And if you can knock down threes at 40%, you're going to be on the court. Yeah. So that's my pick at 20 for my Celtics.
So 21, OKC Thunder. I'm picking Kevin Porter Jr. Now, he, again, kind of dropped down, and he's one of those picks that, the Celtics could pick at 14, but I think he's dropped down a little too low here, and I think I want to pick him for the Thunder. Simple as that. He's a great player. He needs to get his mindset, though, for this Thunder team, because obviously Westbrook and Paul George only have so many years left. He needs to develop quickly if they even want to try to contend, and I think, they just need a player like him on the team.
Sure. So Kevin Porter, he's the type of guy where you look at him and you go, man, this guy looks like an NBA player.
Yeah.
He looks the part. He's 6'6". He's got that physique. He looks like he was just kind of born to play basketball, right? Then he goes out to USC and he gets suspended. Then he comes to the combine and he can only do 2 bench reps. Yeah. I'm going, dang, I think I could do 2 bench reps. Maybe not. I don't know how much they're putting up. Maybe it's like 180 pounds. Maybe I couldn't do 2. But the fact that I even think about it and he could only do 2, I mean, Kyle Guy, little guy, looks like me, from Virginia, did 4 reps, right? Carson Edwards did 13.
Yeah.
So I look at that as not an indictment of his physical deficiency. So what I mean is, I'm not that worried about the actual strength, because that's something you can fix. What I'm worried about is, haven't you been in the gym? Why are you still so weak at this point of your career? You got it naturally, apparently. You look at his physique, it looks like he's been in the gym, but he definitely hasn't. You can see that. So I got him labeled with a capital B for bust. Kevin Porter Jr., avoid at all costs in my book. Okay, 22. Again to my Celtics. And this draft is wonderful because there's still a whole bunch of guys who I think are going to be contributors at the NBA level. Now, I'm going to go completely rogue here. I'm going off-road.
Ty Jerome.
And I'm taking Ty Jerome. That's right. I love this kid's game. Here's a guy who, you know how many points he averaged last year? Mm-hmm. Exactly. Who cares? Exactly. You know how many rebounds? No. Who cares?
He's not a stat guy.
Exactly. Do you know how many national championships he won? One. Yeah, last year, right? This guy's just a winner. If you've been watching basketball for as long as I have, which is about 35 years, and maybe you get this too, are there guys on your squad where they get the ball and you just kind of get this like warm fuzzy feeling like, oh, this is gonna be okay. This play is gonna go well. You know, like in 2008 we'd throw it to KG in the post and you go, oh yeah, I've seen this before. I know how this is gonna end. You know, or you give it to Larry in the post or MJ or. You know, it's just that feeling when even if you're a Warriors fan and you look around and you're like, oh yeah, we got Steph, Clay, KD. You look around on the court and you're like, oh, this is going to be fine. That's the feeling I get when Ty Jerome gets the ball.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's going to make a good decision.
Yeah.
He takes absolutely nothing off the table. He's a gritty, tough defender. He looks like he's been playing ball his whole life, and in fact he has because I was just reading about him. Mm-hmm. He makes the right pass, and in fact, he makes passes that a lot of people don't see. So, flame away. I know that everybody's going to say this is a reach. He's, 6'5". He's not very athletic. His stats don't jump off the page. Whatever. Watch the game. He's a winner. I'll take him.
Okay, so 23 at the Jazz and Matisse Thybulle?
Matisse Thybulle, yeah. Okay, so now this guy, I think, is legitimately the best defender in the draft. Mm-hmm. But continue.
Mainly for defense, and I think Donovan Mitchell, again, like players like Jason Tatum had kind of a down year, and the Jazz were kind of just forgotten about. You know, from going, I think it was a 3 seed in the previous year, and then just kind of dropping. It was kind of...
The Jazz were a dud.
Yeah, they were.
I mean, if you go back and watch our preview video for the season, we were talking about... Because the Jazz were on this upward sort of ascension, right? Mm-hmm. They're getting better. They figured it out. They're the best defensive team in the league. They won 25, 35, 45, 50. Where's the ceiling? It was all a hoax, right?
Yeah.
And they couldn't maintain.
So... I think at this deep in the draft, Matisse Thybulle, just having the extra defensive presence for already an amazing defensive team, just more defense, I guess. If you can't get anything on offense, just add more defense. You can come off the bench, have an extra defensive player, obviously, but I think him with the Jazz is going to be a perfect match.
He is truly an unbelievable defender. Some of his stats are inflated, I think, because he played in the middle of that zone, and he's got this wingspan that's truly alien. But he's also got great instincts, great quickness, great anticipation. He's sort of a Marcus Smart type, except just a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So I like that pick. Okay, so on to 24. We got your Sixers. I call them your Sixers because you got Embiid on your fantasy team, and I know you got a little love for Embiid because he carried your team last year to a strong second place finish.
Okay.
So the Sixers, Jimmy Butler, it sounds like, is now a question mark.
Yeah.
I think JJ Redick was on a 1-year deal, right? So they got to figure that out. Simmons is going to be there. So I guess you're building around Simmons and Embiid, right?
Yeah.
That's the idea. So what do I want around Simmons and Embiid? I want just a solid guy, somebody who can play defense. I guess Tobias Harris is another question mark, right? So they're going to have to re-sign him. Now we're reaching a point in the draft where I'm not 100% sure of which of these guys is going to pan out. Most of my pet picks are gone. So I'm going to go ahead and take Luka Samanic. Now this is a international prospect. He's 6'11". I've seen enough of him to know that this kid can play, and he's tougher than he looks. He's a little bit slender, but I think that he's got a great frame for a 6'11" guy. He's really fluid. The way he runs the court, he finishes. He can play, a 4 next to Embiid. I don't know that he's got a ton of range, but I think I've seen him shoot the deep ball a little bit. But I think I'll take a flyer on Samanic here.
Yeah. So, 25. I'm picking KZ Okapala. A player I haven't seen much of, but I mean, you're getting this deep in the draft. I think he's a player that one of those players that people can sleep on, and he could really show off for the Blazers. And I think the Blazers right now are in win mode after making the Western Conference Finals the year before.
Yeah.
This next year could be the year with the Warriors looking a lot weaker. They just need to push. I think just get one of the best players available and push.
I think that he may be the most talented player available right here on our draft board. He's 6'9". He's got a pretty mature game. He's kind of ready to play right now. I think I like that pick. So 26, we've got the Cleveland Cavs. Now with the first pick that the Cavs had in this round, which was the 5th pick, you ended up selecting for them DeAndre Hunter.
Okay.
So I'm going to go and take a guy who I think is just going to be a solid pro, and that's Grant Williams from Tennessee.
Okay.
And he's the type of guy, again, who I think can just step in and play right now. He's got this rugged, physical body at 6'7" and probably about 240 pounds. He's smart, he's tough, he's got a little bit of everything. He's sort of a jack of all trades player. And I think that at this point, the Cavs, if you're the Cavs, you just want depth, and you want to not strike out. So I'm taking what I think is a safe pick. I think this guy's going to play in the NBA for a while.
Yeah. 27, we have the Nets again. They seem to have quite a few amount of picks here, but I'm choosing
Fiondu?
Yeah.
It's a silent M, Fiondu.
Fiondu, okay.
Yeah, I call him Tofu.
Fiondu Kabengele.
Yep.
I'm choosing him. I mean, there's not many guys. There's loads of big men, but I was kind of stuck between two, being Bruno Fernando and Kabengele.
I think that a lot of GMs are in that same spot looking at those two guys, yep.
And I decided to go with Kabengele. They're almost kind of the same player. I mean, Kabengele had a little bit more freedom on Florida State, but I'm going to take him for the Nets.
Okay, yeah, and Fernando I think is probably more of a more vicious type of athlete in terms of just his raw, go up and dunk it in your face. But they both have a little bit of that. I think that there are pluses and minuses with both of them. 28 here, we're looking at the Golden State Warriors. And I'm going to go ahead and take Carson Edwards from Purdue. This guy just plugs right in. He's small, but he's got a 6'5" wingspan. He proved he could do it on the big stage. He scored in bundles during the tournament with a 42-point game, I think it was. He sees the court. He can drive it. And he's a better finisher than you think. He even posterized a few people last year, which was kind of shocking to see. So Carson Edwards, plug and play, perfect fit.
Okay, so another player is going to be difficult for me to pronounce. Shamory Pons?
Yeah, Shamory Pons.
Okay.
So you're picking Shamory a little bit higher than most people would have him, but yeah, Shamory's got some serious offensive game.
Mm-hmm. I respect his offensive game a lot, and I think his defensive game needs to be a little bit worked on. But the Spurs, as a team altogether, I think is a great defensive team.
Have been for 20 years. Yeah.
Popovich just made them a completely different dynasty, pretty much. Not a dynasty, but a really great team.
Well, you can call them dynasty. I mean, they maybe are on the tail end of it, or they're past their dynasty.
Yeah.
But ever since that dreaded day when they drafted Tim Duncan and the Spurs were supposed to, or the Celtics were supposed to get him.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were a dynasty ever since that day.
So I think adding him, the point guard position. Obviously, they had 2 players go down, I believe, and they had to play Derek White, who played pretty well for them in the first round.
Yeah,
but
they have a knack for picking really solid players late in the draft here.
So I don't think you can go wrong with a player like Shamory. Maybe you just need more offense to your game. But the thing is, he has to work on the defense. It's going to be such a struggle, especially for a coach like Pop. I think he can turn it around for him. So
okay, so Pop teach him how to play defense, and maybe Pons will be a star.
Yeah.
So the final pick here, we got the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm going to take kind of a Bucks style pick, and that's a guy with an incredible wingspan. You look like up and down their roster, every single person they take, it seems like, has like these 7-foot arms. Yeah. It starts with Greek Freak. Middleton is lengthy. They drafted Thon Maker. Before that, they had, can't remember the name of the other center, but they just tend to take these guys that are lengthy. Here's a player who redefines lengthy, Talon Horton Tucker. A guy who is, 6'4" with a 7. I don't even think he's 6'4". I think he measured out shorter than that at the combine. So he's like 6'3" with a 7-foot wingspan. This is ridiculous. 7'1". Here's a guy who you watch him, you look at him right now, and you say he looks like he's probably about 12-14% body fat. If this guy just gets in the gym, because he's got a smooth sort of old-fashioned game. He gets to the hoop. He finishes with both hands. He finishes pretty strong. He's got little finger rolls. He's got some decent touch from the outside. He looks like he's just like a couple hours on the treadmill away from being really good. And I think that the Bucks can gamble here. So, final pick of the first round 2019 NBA draft, Talon Horton Tucker, and we'll see how wrong we were.